Welcome to Motherhood, Aligned and Assigned, where we help guide mothers from symptoms to solutions.
We're Dr. Serena Kaufman and Dr. Veronica Schultz, nervous system specialists helping families discover the missing link in their wellness journey.
Join us as we translate complex health challenges into simple, actionable solutions for you and your children.
Because your family deserves to thrive,
not just survive. Welcome back to Motherhood, Aligned and Assigned. Last week we talked a little bit about the person who is probably considered maybe like a high achiever, really just working really hard in their job, corporate career, or their families, right? They're just always go, go, go. This week we're going to talk about kind of the opposite end of the spectrum and those who might feel lazy. And I want to start with telling a story about a girl. You might know this girl, but she was a workaholic in college. She ended up actually having 4 jobs at once, and she was heavily involved with her sorority. She was heavily involved with activities on campus. She would, go to work all day, go to class all day, come back at like 2 or 3 in the morning, get back up at 6 or 7 in the morning and do it all over again. And she was like praised for it. It was like, everyone was like, how do you do it? That's so awesome, blah, blah. But she also had probably what is considered high functioning anxiety and probably should have been diagnosed with clinical depression, because after about 3 or 4 weeks, and it was like on a cycle every single 3 or 4 weeks, probably every quarter now I'm thinking about it, she would just crash and sleep for days, feel like a lazy slob. Her house would kind of become out of order, dishes would pile up, just little tasks were hard to do. And then she would look around, feel like self-hatred, and then do it all over again. And this is a story about me when I was in college. This is how my college, first years of adulthood looked like. I was just very proud of the work that I could accomplish. It was almost like inhumane how many things I could do. And I would also brag about how I could literally fall asleep on demand almost. Like I could literally come home and be like, okay, I have 5 to 15 minutes before my next thing. I'm gonna take a quick nap and then get right back at it. And it was just because my body was literally craving more rest, and I was going to take whatever it could get. So the reason I tell this story is because me and Dr. Serena were just talking about how I was like, I don't think, the high achieving people I hear or I get to work with feel lazy. Usually they don't call themselves lazy. But whenever their bodies get a taste or a hint of slowing down, of resting, of recovering, you will start to feel those lies and those feelings of, I'm not doing as much as I was before, and that feels lazy. And so we're going to kind of talk about the taboo word, which is rest in our society, right? And how important it is, but how sometimes we don't always prioritize it. But we're also going to talk about how it looks a little bit different, right? The story I just told you was healing. I mean, I shouldn't say healing. It was survival, right? It was rest. What rest look like when you're in survival mode. And we're also going to talk about what rest looks like when you are in healing mode, and how they sometimes feel similar, but how they're also very, very, very different.
Yeah, this could be 2 people could relate to this episode. The higher achievers who are like, I cannot rest because rest is laziness. Even if I need to Sabbath, and what can I get away with on Sabbath? Still be restful.
Just unlock the thought I never shared.
Yeah. There's those people. And then there's the people who are, you might not realize it, but you're in a season where you're like, I'm tired all the time. And I don't know if I'm just tired or if I'm lazy, and I just need to pick myself up and just push through. And what I would say to those people is, what have you experienced recently that was really, really stressful for a long time? There's a couple people I know that had a really high stress situation that drug out and has taken a lot of emotional toll and energy on their body. And now they're in a season where they're coming out of that, and basically the pendulum has swung. So they were in sympathetic, their gas pedal was on for a long time, and the emotional turmoil has resolved in a lot of ways. And so their body's been able to swing the other way. So often we swing, but the pendulum swings, and now their brake pedal is stuck on in a sense, but still dysfunctional in a way. And so to that person, I would very adamantly say, you are not lazy, you're healing. Right.
Can I add a third person into this who might resonate? I also want to add in, you probably, if you're in this third category, you are not looking for this podcast. Someone might have sent it to you, right? Because you might have been the person that was the teenager. I'm thinking of a few family members that I have, that the teenager that is always isolating, that doesn't like to participate in things, never felt like they had enough confidence, and has just been kind of labeled lazy their entire lives. And so they kind of embody that. They don't like to put themselves out there. They don't like social events. They don't like to do certain things. and that are out of their comfort zone. And so they've kind of labeled themselves as lazy when it could just be dysfunction since birth that they never knew how to adapt to.
There's a whole bunch of psychological stuff in here too. And so we acknowledge that there's a bunch of there's a psychological side to this, and then connected but different is the nervous system side of this. And those might have to, for some people, heal together at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good.
So a lot of these people are realizing wait a minute, the way I'm living is not good. This is not good. So they take things into their own hands. Okay, Google, how do I get out of this cycle? And they're like, okay, so I need to eat dinner at 6 p.m. I need to go for a sunset walk. No screens after 6 p.m. Read a book before bed. And then wake up at the same time every day. And they're like, this is great. It's moved the needle a little bit, but my thoughts are still reeling at night, and it's so hard to fall asleep without melatonin and a bunch of supplements like ashwagandha and all this stuff to regulate, which those things I don't think I like. Not those things. Ashwagandha, love it. Melatonin, don't become dependent on it. Then it's just not going to work. Your body has its own melatonin. Why isn't it producing its own melatonin? Right? So your body doesn't make ashwagandha. It does make melatonin. So how do we make more of it? In nervous system.
Spoiler alert.
So this is for those people who are like, okay, I've done the work, because Dr. Veronica and I are going to ask you to do that work too, right? If you have bad habits that are preventing you from getting rest, we need to fix those habits too, right? You can't just treat chiropractic like a Band-Aid, right? This is a whole lifestyle thing if we're working with sleep. But this is for those people who have tried that.
Yes. And I also want to say that it is, I think we talked about this in a couple episodes ago, it is almost going to just naturally happen, right? You don't have to force those things oftentimes, because when you're feeling so much better in your body, you want to take care of it better. And so there is going to be an agreement at some point where we're going to have to actually intentionally do it. But a lot of times people, I had someone come in who was like, I actually left work early because I wanted to go see my family. I didn't tell him to do that, right? And that's good for his mental health and all the things. But I was like, is that normal for you? And he was like, no, I've never done that before in my entire life. And I'm like, okay, not a coincidence, right? So keep that in mind. We will ask you to do certain things, and you'll be shocked at how intuitively and naturally you will actually almost crave or desire those things in your life too. Yeah.
It'll be so much easier. I have one patient, he's come in for specifically, right? He's like, my body's just wound up and my fuse is short. I can tell I'm low energy, and I'm just always, always, always really stressed. And he's like, I have to take just a buttload of melatonin to even fall asleep, and sometimes it doesn't even work. And this last weekend, he took, not last weekend, for the 4th of July, he took 3 days off in a row. He's like, well, I said, what are your 4th of July plans? He's like, well, I'm going to try not to work. And he did it. Right? Yay! So, yeah, he could filter out priorities and say, no, I'm going to rest and be present with my family. And he was able to do that. Which for some of us is what the heck? I don't have trouble. This isn't true. Some people don't have trouble not working on the weekend. They're like, wait, I don't care. These people, this is more of the people who own their own businesses, right? Or care a lot about.
Our leader. Yeah. Corporate.
The company they're working for. Yeah. Right. So, yeah. Those of y'all who are like, my boss, I don't owe them nothing.
Good for you.
They don't have problems with that.
My boss is rude. I'm just kidding. It's me. The other day I was like, my boss made me stay late today. And my mother-in-law was like, you don't have a boss. So I just to throw that in there sometimes.
Yeah. So I guess what we would say is, your energy crisis, your lack of motivation or your feeling of laziness or your stress when you're resting, is less of not necessarily, one, it's not your identity. That's also not the root of the issue here. It's more of an imbalance of how well you're able to tap on the brake and let off the gas. Let off the gas, tap on the brake, right? That's the order of things, right? So if you're if you've been stuck on the gas, our job is to let your nervous system know how to let off, right? And then letting your nervous system know that you can let off the gas, because there's no threats, right? Removing the threat that's physically built up in your nervous system. And then this takes sometimes a little longer. push on the gas, or not push on the push on the brake.
And
I
I
don't know
think,
where I'm
well, and
going
I
with that.
think too, it makes sense why you might feel like these like almost like mental attacks, hypercritical, right? I feel like that is also part of noisy brain, is just a hypercritical brain, because if it's not gonna, it's gonna run out of things to focus on, and so if it just focuses on what it could do better, what it could, those traits are sometimes celebrated, right? Because it's like we're always looking to improve, but then it turns into negativity of like nothing's ever good enough and you can't do anything, enough. And that's why probably rest feels so good, because you have this combination of a brain that has taught itself that hypercriticism of itself is a good thing, right? And then also that stress, chaos, work, all these things are safer than rest. And so I have people come into my office all the time who are like, what exercises are you going to give me, doc? What kind of routine are we going to be on? What supplements am I taking? I'm actually like, I want you to lay in bed and do some deep breathing. Like, that's your only assignment. And the amount of eye rolls that I get for that. And I'm like, no, literally, like, your job is to come here, is to be hyper aware of the changes that are happening, because they might feel like insignificant, but they're not. So I like things like how, for kid, it's like, there's this one toddler I'm working on where we have kind of gotten stuck, quote unquote, in he's kind of plateaued, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. He started running in my office, and his right arm didn't move. His left arm was pumping. I said, how long has he been doing that for? And so those little changes that we want to start seeing and monitoring for, that's like most of your job when you come to this our chiropractic offices, right? It's like we're looking for the most, what almost seems like insignificant changes. We're looking for imbalances. We're looking for all these things, not so that we can like strengthen them and, give you a protocol, but so that genuinely we can see where in the brain we have dysfunction, and then restore that so that your body can repair it. And I say all this to say, in that process, you're going to feel things like rest. You're going to feel things like downtime. You're going to feel things like, I had one patient text me say, I haven't thought about anything all afternoon. What is this like, right? And that can feel scary at first when your brain has always talked to you, when your brain has always been noisy and loud. And so it's just kind of like shifting gears toward this healing journey isn't supposed to feel comfortable, even though it's going to feel lighter and more exciting. Eventually it will feel fun, but that like transitional period is going to feel uncomfortable because your brain has been trained to crave stress. Not that stress is bad, but operating outside of your capacity for most of your life.
Yeah. And so some people are going to ask, okay, how is chiropractic changing my sleep? Like, what's the mechanism of that? And so I'll just walk through that process real quick. So we've talked about this a lot. I feel like I talk about this like 10 times a day. But if you want the deep of like how your brain gets stuck in fight or flight, listen to our past episodes. I think our second episode, how chiropractic changes the brain, that just goes into all of that. But we are essentially firing up and creating improved tone in the vagus nerve. And that's our huge brake pedal, right? And the vagus nerve slows down our heart rate, slows down our breathing, increases digestion, taps into reproductive organs, which for a lot of us are our hormones. Our hormones are part of our rejuvenation while we're sleeping, especially men, right? They have this 24-hour clock, and rest is what is replenishing testosterone, which is going to be a lot of their energy. And then for women, it's monthly, but we still need even more rest to replenish those hormones. And so giving more tone, and it's more than just the vagus nerve, but that's a huge player. Giving more tone to the vagus nerve is going to improve our overall adaptability. And we can see this on our HRV. That's our heart rate variability. So in my office, you sit in a room by yourself and just chill out for your HRV. No one's bugging you. We're not tapping in. You're just hanging out. And if I see that your nervous system is getting tapped multiple times while you're sitting there, right? I can see that we have skin conductance, and and skin conductance is like micro sweating, basically. And if your nervous system is getting tapped and it says, hey, we're experiencing a threat, it increases your sweat glands a tiny bit and your skin conductance goes up. It just spikes and then comes back down. And that's happening. And I can see it happen multiple times when I look at your graph when we're done. Like, that's telling me, like, just sitting in a room, you're just being tapped over and over again with threat signals for no reason, right? Well, no like outward environmental reason. And so that's a gas pedal stuck on, right? And so one of the places where that's tapping that is stress that's physically held in your nervous system. And when you're encountering that those stressors, the physical stress has to be put somewhere in your body. So your body is just like storing it over and over and over again. And chiropractic is physically removing that stress with consistency. Probably if you're really stressed and worn out, you're going to be coming in, we're going to be friends in our office, right? And so that slowly allows you to let off the gas pedal and then push on the brake pedal. That's how it's happening is we're we're firing up the tone of your parasympathetic nervous system, your brake pedal, so that your body knows how to and is capable of tapping into rest, digest, recover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it kind of just goes back to what we like to say oftentimes. It's like, we're actually not treating your sleep. We are not, it's not the same as taking melatonin, and it's not the same as going to get a sleep apnea, right? We are not treating those things. We are just improving your body's ability to do it on its own. And that's why we can talk about all these things, is because the brain, think about what the brain is in charge of. Everything. And so when we're working directly with the brain, we are also tracking the improvement in the efficiency of the communication and the function or the dysfunction, right, of the things that the brain is telling what to do.
And because we're working with the nervous system, and we're not treating individual systems, sometimes our nervous system's priority is not our priority. And so
Right.
that dad I was talking about who came in, he's like, I have to just take a bunch of melatonin to fall asleep. That's been a pattern since his childhood. He's had trouble falling asleep, and his parents even tried to get him help through a medical doctor and sleep studies and all of these things. And so that's been a really stuck pattern for him for a long time. And he's been really high strung through his whole life. And now he's
Right.
very high achieving. Like he's doing the most. But now what he's told me, so his sleep when he gets to fall asleep is higher quality, but it's still taking him a long time to fall asleep. But he's saying throughout my day, I am way less stressed. It's like my fuse is longer and I'm perceiving far less stress throughout my days now. And so for us, like, okay, maybe this is the order in which your body is healing, is that it's going to take a long time to break that initial cycle of having trouble falling asleep, because that's a pattern that's in his head now, I think. Not saying that it's all in his head, saying that it's something that we're going to have to break.
It's a pathway.
And that might be long. Yeah, a pathway we're going to have to rewire. And maybe that's going to take a lot longer than what we expected. But oftentimes, Veronica and I agree with this. Like, it's the first thing we see improve when someone starts their care plan is their sleep. And that makes sense, is because we need sleep to restore everything else. And so when you're able to rest and recover, so many other things are going to be able to recharge and improve.
Well, I was going to say, going back to your story about the patient, it's like sometimes with this work, it's really important that when you start in our office on a care plan, that we are holding your goal with you, right? Like if you come in and let's say you're just asleep and for some reason you're not hitting that goal, there's going to be so many other things that you are going to experience before that goal. And so I felt like that was a good thing to highlight, is that sometimes you come in and your main thing, for some it's like, I want my kid to walk, or I want my kid to do these things, or I want to sleep better, or I want to, you come in with a goal, and we also value that goal and we work toward that goal, but we cannot miss the milestones and the changes that are happening along the way, because then we'll lose that discouragement, and then we'll maybe even lose some of that, what was that?
The soft signs.
Yes, the soft signs. We want to keep a hold of the soft signs and acknowledge them and celebrate them and address them, because that's going to continue our momentum forward. We don't want the brain to be like, this isn't working. We want everyone, your brain, yourself, us, to be on the same page. And the only way to do that, especially when we're not getting the results we want right away, is to watch those soft signs improve until we get to that point where the brain can finally rewire that pathway that it's holding on to.
Yeah. So in my notes, I've started putting goal, and I list out their top 3 health goals. And then I've broken down all of these neurological soft signs that they're struggling with. So say your goal is not sleep. Say you came in for sciatic pain, and I was like, okay, girl, but how's your sleep? How's your digestion? How's your hormone regulation? And they're like, oh, bad. Right. So I'm also tracking all of these what we call neurological soft signs of healing within that. And so, and then I've noticed I get to like erase those things, because like, okay, this has been the same every time of like doing good, right? So, okay, I don't need to keep asking about sleep because it's been great for the last 2 weeks. I'll hit on every once in a while. It's like, and so I'm like deleting like kind of like check boxes of like, okay, we've tackled that, we've tackled that, we've tackled that. Or by we, I mean your nervous system and your body has healed that.
Mm.
And then we get to the top goals of, okay, between visits for 2 days, it's feeling great and then it's returning. I'm like, okay, so that let's celebrate for 2 days. This thing is better and it's going to improve. And like soon we're going to hit 3 days and then you're going to feel great between adjustments. And then if I go on vacation for a week, I promise you, I'm not going to promise. I would put money on, I am a betting woman, that you're going to hold that adjustment really well, even when I'm gone, because we've set your nervous system up for success, right? And you're adaptable, sleeping well, and all these other things are going great, right? So that's often a path of healing, but everyone's is different. And that's why we ask about all of these things. And that's why we also have scans. Because even if we're not seeing the needle move symptomatically, we can look at scans and be like, whoa, that's because your nervous system is waking up and it's in a big reorganizational phase. And once we get out of this, I bet at that point, we're going to see the needle move big time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or at least we'll know you'll be set up for massive success if there is any other, provider that needs to come in and partner with you. You'll be leaps and bounds ahead of where you started because you're no longer working an uphill battle, right? We know we actually we're sifting through, right? It's almost like we get to filter. If you go see, let's say we get to the end of your care plan, and it's like, well, I still have this one thing. Well, think about all the soft signs you would have had to battle going to see someone else, right? Now you're starting, and if you do need a referral, you're starting with just that one thing, and you're going to see excellent results because of the work that we've done. So really, it's like you win either way. There's no way that you can lose with this kind of care because you're either setting up for your next breakthrough or you have a breakthrough. That's your choices.
Yeah. Awesome. This job is so fun. I feel like it's fun. It's fun when you know how to communicate what's going on and you know what to look for. I just saw a post earlier that this chiropractor sold his office. He's like, the chiropractic profession is dying, and so I'm going into PT. Like, in what world is the chiropractic profession dying? Like, there's this like huge blossoming in what we're learning that the nervous system is capable of doing, and we work with the nervous system. Anyway,
it sounds like you need adjusted.
Yeah. It sounds like you need neurologically focused chiropractic.
Yeah. With that said, would you like to close us out in prayer?
Well, Dr. Veronica, I'm curious.
Oh, yeah.
When did you notice a shift for yourself in that, like, getting out of that cycle of anxiety and depression and laziness and all that?
Yeah.
Or
so I unfortunately have not received the same care that I give yet. I'm like working to hire a doctor so I can actually get on a care plan. But it was in different phases. Like when I was in college, I graduated and that's where I met Jesus after college. And so that was kind of first part of my healing journey was, getting to know Jesus, knowing who he is, knowing who I'm not and who I am in Christ. And so that kind of helped, but I always kind of held on to this pattern over and over. I mean, I remember talking to my pastor at the time and was like, why can't I break this stupid pattern? I was so tired of just being like, I would like find myself in this like burnout phase and be like, I did it again. Like I wouldn't realize it was happening until after I was like, oh man, I'm feeling depressed again. It's back. It almost was probably pretty close to bipolar disorder, honestly. Now that I think of it, there'd be like mania and then like complete crash out and all the seats. But anyways, I would say it was in chiropractic school when I really got involved with leadership on campus. And I guess I did kind of get neurologically focused care with the training camp that I was a part of because we focused a lot on neurology and, in a different light and more intuitive way. But it was probably then when I started, I thought it was because I had all these, I started working out in the morning. I started taking care of myself. I was training for chiropractic, but I was also getting really, really powerful adjustments during that time. And I would say in chiropractic school was when I finally stopped. For the most part, I think part of it's my personality, right? But for the most part, I can stop myself from going into what I would call mania, right? I can see that I'm saying yes all the time. I don't have boundaries. I now have the capacity to take a look and say like, okay, what am I saying yes to? Where are my intentions? That kind of thing. And I haven't gone into a depressive crash out in years. And so I would say, yeah, it was in chiropractic school. I'll be very curious to see if how much further my capacity increases once I do get on the care plans, like specifically through this kind of chiropractic work, because I know there's still work to be done. But yeah, I would say that's kind of been my healing journey, chiropractic, Jesus, and yeah, it's pretty much those two things.
Yeah. Well,
so Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pray us out.
Deal.
Okay, dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity and the blessing of one, your grace in being the foundation of our identity and how you've designed our bodies to be high achieving and adaptable. And then thank you for chiropractic for being a tool uh, for us to use to bring our bodies and our vessels back to the way you designed them, Lord. Amen. That's it.
Amen. We'll see you guys next
Yeah.
time.
Thank you for joining us on Motherhood, Aligned and Assigned.
We hope today's episode helped you connect the dots in your family's health journey.
Remember, this is where nervous system health meets motherhood wisdom.
Until next time, we're Dr. Veronica Schiltz.
And Dr. Serena Kaufman, supporting you as you nurture your family's well-being.
Because when you're aligned, everyone thrives.